news. Now, this one, the Lands Ministry outdoored an ultra-modern office, which it says will be the hub of activities for the Greater Accra Lands Commission in the effective administration of lands in the region. Shortly, we'll hear from the Lands Commission on how this changed the administration of lands in the region, especially knowing the challenges many have gone through with regards to land management. At the commissioning ceremony, though, Lands Minister Samuel Abu-Jinapor outlined some major reforms and interventions by the government to develop a robust and effective land administration anchored on decentralization and digitalization.
Today marks a very important step in our quest to build an effective, transparent, responsive, and orderly land administration which is steeped in integrity. I commend the leadership of the Lands Commission and the Greater Accra Regional Lands Commission for putting up this extraordinary office complex to serve the land needs of the people of our capital city, Accra. Land, as we all know, is a major and consequential tool for economic growth and all facets of our national development. The adverse consequences of ineffective, fraudulent, and weak land administration is very damning. It is therefore not surprising that Article 258 of our national constitution establishes the Lands Commission to, amongst others, manage public lands, see to the effective registration of land, and formulate national policies for the administration and use of land. As our nation evolves and our land-related challenges become more complex, it is imperative that we adapt and enhance the capabilities of the Lands Commission to meet the demands of the modern era. That is why, under the able and outstanding leadership of President Akufo-Addo, we have been championing reforms in land administration with a view of transforming the Lands Commission into a modern, efficient, and customer-centric institution capable of meeting the diverse needs of our society. At the heart of these reforms is the decentralization of land administration. We have therefore established 6 fully digitized offices for the 6 new regions of our country, and we are establishing satellite client service access units in all regional offices of the Commission across the country to bring land administration services closer to the people and ensure greater accessibility and efficiency in land-related transactions. Ladies and gentlemen, effective and efficient land administration includes providing suitable workplaces for staff of the Commission. In addition to these developments, we are pursuing an aggressive digitization agenda to digitalize the records of the Lands Commission and promote a robust land administration that ensures peace, security, economic growth, and resource development. Already, the Commission has successfully migrated some of its operations into the digital environment and rolled out the Enterprise Land Information System, which offers some select services fully online.
Right, so that's the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, commissioned this very exquisite, magnificent building that will house the Greater Accra Regional Lands Commission. Now, the building is nice, but what goes inside the building is what is of concern to a lot of people. If you have issues with land, well, this is the right time for you to get all your answers to. Joining me now is Timothy Anyidohu, Acting Regional Lands Office, Greater Accra Region. Timo, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And it's good to have you here this afternoon.
It's good to be here this afternoon.
Right, so beautiful building you have in there.
Yes.
So how does that help in the work that you do at the Lands Commission?
Well, those who know the Lands Commission historically would have come to meet us in some less modern buildings. Right. With our offices scattered all over the cantonment area, some as far as the ministries area. Sometime in 2011, 2012, the Commission thought it wise that it would be a good time for us to have one modern building to help, especially in housing all our 4 divisions in one place in our customer service and access unit, so that it can help integration of our work processes and also a more effective service delivery.
So now you have all your satellite offices now in one office?
Yes, so if you know the cantonment area where generally the Greater Accra offices, right, this building is supposed to house all of us at the moment, and at the program, the minister said so, that it's housing both the national headquarters in one part and part of the region in another part.
Okay, so region and national all
fused, but there's a national building that has far advanced in completion that the minister promised to be inaugurating very soon. That's around the 37 area. So very soon the national headquarters will now move into their building while they give way to the entire Greater Accra region to be in this building that you see.
So all services that you undertake can now be undertaken in this new building?
In this new building, yes.
And that is good, right?
That is very good because, as I said, there are 4 main divisions of the commission. The public invested land, the survey and mapping, the land registration division, the land valuation division. Because we're a bit scattered in a few offices, people find it tedious. First of all, work-wise, some services are supposed to flow into the other. But because you are in little other places, you have to exit one building, go to the next, go for a service here, come for it here. But once all of us become housed in this building, now it's just one big building, it's going to force us even to be more integrated in our services.
So whilst the camera took shots of the building, I saw some inscription on some of your doors: integrity, transparency, commitment, and of course all these nice words that should give confidence to the people. But land issue is always complex, and it evokes a lot of emotions in all of these matters. Would you say that in the last few years you've done a lot to instill confidence in land acquisition and management?
Well, yes, I can say there's always room for improvement. I always say, anytime you talk to the commission, let us understand where we are from, where we are now. The minister stated things such as, look at the fact that we can do searches now online, some of our services. What that means is that in the comfort of your home, you can request for a search to be done. It means that you don't have to come there to meet anybody to have the temptation of entering some form of arrangement other than the official payment. These are some of the things that are evident of the transparency from the integrity, trying to help infuse technology. And in the clip, you see that the minister had a chance to go to our records to see how we have sought to scan some of our sheets, most of them anyway, so that if we are retrieving information, we are more reliable, it's kept well and accessible at the click of a button. So,
but land acquisition here in the Greater Accra region always comes with so many bottlenecks, and sometimes even staff of your establishment, they've also come under blame for some of these, double sale and all those issues. Educate us. Okay, so as we have you here.
So we say generally that land is 20% of land nationally is owned by the state. 80% is owned by stools, families, clans. So that shows that anytime you hear there's a dispute within a family or a clan or a stool, then it may affect land acquisition. Lands Commission's responsibility is one of registration. If it's not state land. If some stool decides to double grant, for instance, Lands Commission is there to help the individuals who have purchased, for instance. People often blame us for everything, including what we have not done. Because if some stool sells to Mr. A and sells to Mr. B, and they come to us and we register the one who submits his own first, you can't say we're in league with somebody because we may not even be aware
that same land has been sold to another person.
To Mr. A. Land transactions generally worldwide is better with integrity as a base, whether it is from the registration point of view or from the sale point of view. So as we all keep making strides, and the minister mentioned also things such as the New Land Act making provision for customary land secretariats, where now the stools can also keep record of what they are given. So the excuse that I didn't know, my predecessor gave it to Mr. A, gave it to Mr. B, will now begin to be a thing of the past. And then now you have records of it, so you can't double grant or double give. So it's something that we are attacking on various fronts. Part of it is sensitization, which Lands Commission has gone on a huge drive with the ministry backing us over the past 4 years. Just to educate, I've had the privilege of being in this studio several times to speak to people about what they have to do if they want to purchase land.
But can I just walk into the Lands Commission office and then say that I want to buy a land? Is there a way you can help me with that?
So Lands Commission will not sell land
to anybody
if it is not state land.
Okay.
So we have one division called the Public Invested Land Management Division. They will deal with public land that has been properly acquired or vested. So we don't keep a bank of land to sell except the land is state land. But if it is private land...
Do you actually sell state land?
So state land, people apply for. And based on availability, it's the same state land that has done the airports you see, the hospitals you see. So the priority is more for social projects.
Right.
But there are some housing estates in Greater Accra, for instance. You speak about the cantonments, the airports, and East Legons and the North Legons. These are residential enclaves because government also sees itself as a catalyst for residential development. And therefore, in some areas, government creates a residential enclave also to help the nature of development that is going on in that area. So where it's available and you apply and you're a citizen, yes, based on priority of applications, you may be able to.
But when it comes to families to land, you don't come in at all?
We don't come in at all. Our main responsibility is registration. So you have entered your transaction with Chief A or Family Head B or Individual C. You have just come to Lands Commission to help you do the registration. So where there's a challenge within your grant, for instance, where the person doesn't have a capacity, where you go to court and there's a judgment, it's supposed to advise us in the process of registration. That's all we will do.
For you, with your expertise in this area, the challenge, where exactly does it come from?
The challenge, I always say 80% is when people are purchasing land, people are not patient enough to do the searches that are required in order to know the status of the land. Land is the only thing where people would approach the registration only when they have completed a transaction. So when they come for registration and you tell them it's not possible, then they get frustrated because they would have gone ahead and parted with money. And therefore, our advice every time is make sure you do the right searches before you go ahead to purchase a land.
So the search can be done in your office?
Yes, that's why I said in Greater Accra, we are lucky we've moved on to the digital platform, the same as the 6 new regions, where just with the phone, you can scan, make a request to us, pay digitally, and we'll do a search and give to you.
But the issue of double registration, and you say that, if I should present my document today, you will register the land for me.
Yes.
If another person presents documents covering the same land, that is where the problem will arise.
So that is where we would reject one because an earlier one has been.
So therefore, the person who came first will always have the priority.
Yes, that is what we call priority of registration and is backed by law. You see, that's why when people purchase land, the law was perceiving that it also encouraged people to register. So if I buy first, I go home to sleep. I've not come to Lands Commission. Lands Commission doesn't have any record of that transaction. The person who sells to you then goes ahead and sells to Mr. B. You come for registration. How would Lands Commission know that it has been given to Mr. A? So the law says priority in registration. Lands Commission will go ahead and do that registration. If by any chance you feel that there's some inconsistency because the person had given to you first, that's where litigation comes in. The person goes to court to seek the order of the court to expunge that registration before we can do that of the other.
But I have come across several demolitions where, people are sold lands.
Yes.
Sometimes, I'm sure they go to the Lands Commission to do the check and do registration. 10, 15 years later, another person comes to claim ownership of that said land.
Yes.
And is able to secure a court order to say, go and demolish all those properties.
So I like the fact that you say a court order because until the court gives an order, we will be working with the information that's available for you. You've recently heard about the famous or infamous Numomashi judgment where we may have acted on some decision made in 1980, something, 82, 83. If so many years after the Supreme Court thinks differently and now gives a different instructions, Lands Commission is a servant of the courts also. So usually you see that happens where maybe litigations were going on over years. Now before no injunction was granted, Lands Commission continued to act properly because that was the information that was available to it until such a time that the court gives a different direction. And then that may lead to the things that you complain about, such as demolition. And
so for such person who bought his or her land 10, 15 years ago, and he's now dealing with somebody who is claiming ownership of the land, there is no remedy for such an individual.
Most of the time, the courts are very, very careful to say if people have acquired rights over some years, then you just what they call regularize or sort of go to the rightful owner for him to sort of give you the right documentation.
Right.
If you look, demolition is often the last resort that the court encourages people to do. So there's often the fine print in the judgment. Sometimes people just say, I have a judgment, but in the judgment, the court often is very careful not to just say jump. Otherwise, you would have seen many, many, many more demolitions.
Of course.
But the court encourages go atone tenancy, as it will say, or regularized from the rightful person so that life can go on, because he understands that building takes a lot in terms of investment.
And your advice this afternoon is that if you want to acquire land,
yes,
the steps that you need to take, the first will be to check the availability of that land.
Search, yes, a search conducted with the commission, and also you go to the land. You know, land is a fiscal thing. You can go on it. Most people can transact without ever going onto the land, without doing a search, and I've seen it so many times. They have come to you only when they transact.
Is it because of based on what trust in the person they are buying the land
so
from?
I always say, even if my father is selling land to me, I'll say I want to check it.
And be sure that it is indeed the land.
Because he may even believe it is his, but he may not have the right documentation to support so. I have seen many people whose parents have passed. They believe their fathers had registered or owned the property, only to come and do a search, and they find different names. And they are stuck because they've stayed there their whole life.
Right.
It's because maybe their parents never went ahead to do the right thing in terms of documentation. So it becomes a challenge of the next generation to try to sort out the challenge of the right documentation.
So, as you indicated, that you streamline your operations to make it more flexible and welcoming. So, and you also say that you can actually do the search on your own a mobile device.
Yes.
How do you go about it?
Oh, so we have a onlineservices.lc.gov.gh. That's it. So you go there, and then you will see our services running through, and you say click on a search, and it tells you how to scan your site plan, which is a base map that we use for the search. Payments are done electronically with your Momo, your Visa card, whatever. And then you've submitted your search. It will give you a receipt and a response. And then when it is ready, we would take, the law says 14 days. At the moment, we are doing in Greater Accra about 70% 14 days. Okay. Some a little bit longer because of information retrieval. But you get your response done back online, and you can be advised by the contents.
But in all of this dealing, have you ever come across a situation where maybe some people in your office do duplicate documents for another person, and then it becomes litigation?
So we have, it is something that went a lot into the Land Act 1036, where even now there are a lot of punitive punishments for us, the staff of Lands Commission, to discourage people from doing that. We've had assistance from the CID, from the NI, from anybody who can help us in terms of discouraging people. But the digitization has helped a lot in identifying those who may be doing those.
So in future,
you find less of this, because now
less of this now.
Now you touch the computer, he knows who did it, what time he did it, what IP address was used. So people even may think they've done it and gotten away with it.
But you can always trace.
You can always trace and then deal with that.
Has there been punishment in the past?
Yes, in fact, as I speak now, there have been some number of our staff that were dismissed because of some involvement in things relating to stamp duty, that our land valuation. But then I saw letters in my mail signed by the chief executive, relieving them of their duty as public servants because they were found to be complicit in something that was untoward. And disciplinary committees are set up. We have permanent ones of the national and the regional commissions, and we've continued to, like any establishment, we have good nuts and we have bad
nuts as well.
When the bad nuts are found, the punishment is clear, and they suffer the punishment for it.
And dismissal was the only punishment?
We have dismissal. We've handed some over to the security agencies for prosecution. Some are even undergoing prosecution as I speak now.
Do you also have issue with Goro boys?
So that's what the minister was, and my national chairman today, Alex Kwenu, mentioned it, that the steps we are taking now is supposed to reduce the incidents of people hanging around the office pretending to be staff. So if you come to the new building, constructed for us by Elegant Homes, we want to acknowledge them.
Right.
They are the contractors, and Avanti Architects who designed for us. The building has been designed in such a way that we don't have easy access to the place as may have been in the past. So you find out that there's a reception where you are logged in. If you don't have business beyond that place, we have security town blocks that will open the door to other areas of the building. And that is going to restrict the movement or the way in which people who are non-staff interact.
But the office is open for anybody who wants to come in and do genuine business.
Genuine business. We have a client service access unit. We have a good reception there. We have what we call the complaints and complaints units that where you can go if you submitted something to us in the past and you just want to do a follow-up. We have a desk set up for that also in the new building.
Somebody asking just one question, I will just admit it, I'll let you go. He's asking, he said some time back that your building suffered flooding which affected some of your documents, and
yes.
whether you've
we
been able to retrieve all documents that got lost in the process.
We explained that flooding that they said was even not, it was really an internal plumbing issues. But we have, the way in which the building is designed, all the documents are raised at a certain level so that they are not on the floor. So the few that were affected that were dealt with, but all those had been scanned. So now the papers that you see have been scanned electronically to ensure that we have access to them. So we don't, the fear that if it floods, we may not have the documents again is something of the past now.
And you are fully on board with this digitalization agenda. Sometimes we heard of some backtracking and foot dragging on the part of the Lands Commission to get on board fully.
A change, they say, always has its own challenges, but we have embraced it. I always say the current Vice President has gracious enough to visit us twice or thrice, all pushing the agenda. Our current minister is very heavy on that. Our new chief executive is heavy on digitization, and that's what we have been doing as much as possible, infuse technology to make it easy for us. So the new building design considers all that, your internet, all that you require, your wiring, anything that you require, your ports, to ensure that people have access to the technology that they require to be able to.
Is there your final words as you advise our viewers, especially those who have land issues?
Yes, before I advise your viewers, I want to commend. We always talk about a nice building, but who is behind it?
Exactly.
Avanti group, that is architects, our Elegant Homes, who are our partners in this. And then also I wish to advise your people that the Lands Commission is making its best to make itself accessible. People should be less cynical and approach us. And if they approach us with whatever concerns, advice, service they require, they are guaranteed that the standards have been set up high there. We'll seek to assist them and they get the best service.
Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Timothy Anyido, who is the acting Greater Accra Regional Boss of the Lands Commission, and they have a new office just around Cantonment. Well,